Hello, I'm Nancy Carrier. I'm part of the Partner Enablement team here at Acumatica. Today, I'll be discussing purchasing in Acumatica's Construction Edition. We'll start with a purchase request that is submitted to purchasing. Purchasing will turn it into a requisition, and if approved, the requisition will become a purchase order. We'll receive the goods and create an AP vendor bill. Let's start at the beginning with purchase requests. From the Purchases workspace, I'm going to go over to this tile and click on New Purchase Request. I'll be using an example of a field employee entering a request. Requests are entered by an employee to request goods and materials. Requests can then be routed for approval. The purchasing department takes over from there. Let's enter a request. This employee is requesting materials for a job, so I'm leaving the request class field set at customer. This is being requested by a customer called the Equity Group. So I'm going to select the Equity Group investors. And down here, I'm going to put in a description of materials for job 1002 hotel. Down here in the document details area, this is where the employee will enter the products that are being requested. When I click on this hourglass, you can do a search of all products. You'll see that a list is being displayed. This is an optional configuration. You can set up requests so that an employee just enters a general description of what they want, or you can do something more like this, provide a drop-down list. If you know the vendors and products that you typically buy, maybe you have agreements with some of them, or you just know which vendors will give you the best price and the best service, you can create these lists and employees will only be able to request what is on this list. Let's say the employee selects these edge forms and enters a quantity. Over here to the right, we have a field for required date. This is the date that the requester would like to have these items at the job site. Right next to it is the promised date. This date is auto-calculated based on a user-defined lead time. You can build in some lead time for purchasing so that expectations are set right from the beginning. On the Shipping Instructions tab, you can specify where to deliver the goods. In this example, they're going to the customer. Each customer can have multiple addresses, so if you drop down the shipping location, you can select the correct address. You could also use the override button to change the ship to address. Right now my request is in the status of on hold. I'm going to take it off hold, and now the status changes to open. Optionally, we could enforce electronic routing and approval of the request before it ever gets to the purchasing department. The request status is now open, and this status tells the purchasing department that it's okay to go ahead with the purchase. The next step in the process is to create a requisition. A requisition is used by purchasing for several different things. It lets them assign a vendor. They can put a requisition through another approval process if necessary, and if the request is for a one-off item, maybe it's a very large purchase, they can even send out email requesting bids from various vendors. To monitor requests and create requisitions, we go to the Purchases workspace and click on Create Requisitions. From here, I could create many requisitions at once. I'm going to just select that requisition that was just entered. And I'll just click on Process to create that requisition. Here's the requisition that was created, pulled in all the information from that request. I'm going to go ahead and take this off hold. And you'll notice the status changes to pending quote. Optionally, we could have enforced electronic routing and approval of the requisition. If this was a large requisition, you might want to get bids from multiple vendors. Right over here on the bidding tab, this is where you could select different vendors that you want to ask for pricing. And right from here, you can send out requests for pricing. When vendors get back to you with pricing, you can capture those responses. So everything the purchasing department needs to make a selection is all in one place. If it's not necessary to send out bids, I can just click on Quoted to indicate that a quote was already received and we're ready to create the purchase order and send it to the vendor. To create the purchase order, I just use the Actions menu and say Create Orders. On the requisition, we have a Purchase Orders tab. When I click on it, I can see the purchase order that was created. I can see that it's currently in a status of on hold. And right from here, I can drill down to the purchase order that was created. Since this is a purchase order for a job, we want to specify the project, the subjob, and the cost code. So I'm going to enter in my hotel job. And this is for concrete. So I'm going to pick subjob 3 and my cost code is 03100. As soon as I take this purchase order off hold, you'll notice the status changes to pending approval. This is because I'm enforcing approval of all purchase orders. In Acumatica, approvals are driven by approval maps. Approval maps let you set the rules and conditions for approvals. You can set an approval map based on the employee that entered the purchase order. It could be based on the dollar amount. It could be based on the type of product being requested. And all your approvals will be auto-routed to the correct person. Authorized approvers can see that approvals are needed from the approvals menu or from a dashboard or even from the mobile app. They'll always be able to drill down to see the exact transaction, and when they're ready they can go to the Actions menu and either approve or reject. I'm going to go ahead and approve this purchase order. It's really easy to get this purchase order to the vendor. All I need to do is go to my Actions menu and select Email Purchase Order. This step can be eliminated by using an automation schedule that'll periodically send any emails that are ready to be sent. Right up here on the Activities button, there is a 1 after it, just indicating there's one activity, and that is the email that we just sent. When the order arrives at the job site, we might want to enter a note. Notes can be entered right up here at the page level. Notes can also be entered at the line level. So I'm just going to enter a note saying we received 5,000 on May 13th. When the bill arrives, we can enter a vendor bill right here from the purchase order. From the Actions menu, we just select Enter AP Bill. All the information from the purchase order is automatically pulled onto the AP bill. You'll notice a red asterisk over here next to Vendor Reference. Vendor Reference is a required field, so we need to enter a vendor invoice number. Let's take this vendor bill off hold. My status changes to pending approval. A vendor bill can have its own approval map, its own set of rules and conditions for approval. So we'll just go over here to the Actions button and click on Approve. This puts the vendor bill into a status of balanced, but by clicking on Release, the transaction is posted. The status is now open. The bill will be included in the regular AP payment processing. Today we looked at purchase requests, requisitions, and purchase orders. If you'd like more information about Acumatica, please visit acumatica.com.